What is personality?
Yeah, so it's a really uh it's a tricky question, and I think all of us wrestle with what's my personality, what's other people's personality. It has to do with individual differences and to some extent how we compare with others on uh, the way we think, the way we feel, the way we act. So in your karate group, you know, even when you're a kid, you'll notice, boy, this boy's more aggressive, this boy's friendlier, um, this person really works hard at getting better. So we have ways of describing other people. And one of the things I try to do in my personality class is just teach people how, in personality research, there are certain kind of well-researched ways of thinking about how to uh, j- judge oneself and others on various personality traits and personality qualities. So I always begin with the most researched area in personality, which has to do with the big five traits. So over the span of 80 years, they figured out a way of taking all the adjectives we use to describe other people and to boil them down into five main dimensions. So the first two dimensions that were uncovered are extroversion, introversion. That's one. And I think all of us have a sense of whether we're more of an extrovert, an introvert, or kind of in the middle. These are bipolar dimensions. Something I highlight a lot is that it's wonderful to be an extrovert. There's a lot of positive affect there. There's a fearlessness. And most of us who are introverts would give anything to be more extroverted. So the first trait is extroversion, introversion. The next trait is neuroticism, which has to do with how much you worry and stress about things. So some people are very calm and easygoing and unflustered, and other people like worry very easily and about a lot of different things. And to a large extent, these big five traits are wired. So they're able to do genetic research with identical twins, with identical twins who are adopted or not adopted. And it looks like, pretty early in our childhood, there's a sense in which whether we're more neurotic and less extroverted, that's a tough combination to be both introverted and
Yeah.
neurotic. Those are actually independent, and you're just as likely to be an extroverted neurotic as an introverted neurotic. But being extroverted, people don't see the neuroticism so much. They see the extroversion. So those are two big five traits. Another one is openness to experience, whether you're like trying new things, you like new experiences, or whether you like routine. Unfortunately, I like routine, but I'm trying to become more open to experience. The final two, and these are more socialized kind of traits, they're really very important. Uh, it's agreeableness, which has to do with whether you're a warm, caring person and that you connect pretty easily with others. And then conscientiousness, whether you can set goals and pursue your goals. And here's something surprising. Everyone cares about being an extrovert, but in life, what's really important is to be an agreeable, conscientious person because you work well with others, you function well in small groups, you make a good marital partner, a good friend. Extroversion is great too. But so those are the five dimensions, and you can go online. There's an Robert will post something about where you could get your big five traits assessed, and you could have other people rate you as well. And other people usually the way they view you will correspond. Uh, but you can get a sense of whether you're low versus high or in the middle on these traits. Now, the big thing I do in my course, and I think this is real important, is many people think that's the only thing we have in our personality is, you know, how we behave in terms of our emotions, our actions, and our thoughts. Are we an extrovert? Are we conscientious? Are we neurotic? But actually, that's just the first level of our personality. It's kind of what we're born with. It captures the way other people see us. But once we figure out, okay, this is the way we behave in the world, there's another level that has to do with motivation, what we're striving for and what we care about. So some people are like very achievement oriented and they like to improve and they like to do better on things. Robert, I'm pretty sure you're that kind of person. Those kind of people are drawn to martial arts. They're drawn to learning and doing new things. I'm pretty high on that too. Other people are more concerned about affiliation and intimacy, and they're mostly about relationships. I'm not that high on that. And then some people are about power, which sounds like a bad word, but it just means you like to have influence, you like to have impact. And sometimes it's the people with power motivation, if they also are agreeable and conscientious, who do a lot of good in the world. So there's a second level of personality that's about motivation. And then there's a third level, which I think is very interesting, but I won't really be able to explain it to you. But it's the third level is kind of the story that we're creating with our lives and about our lives. So the idea is that uh, we have some kind of notion of, okay, uh, this was the beginning of my story. This is what I did in my university years. This is where I'm headed. And they actually find some people, we have different genres of stories. Some people have like, they're trying to write a success story. They made good in their lives against all odds. Other people have stories about building relationships. Uh, some people have stories about hard times and then redemption. Those stories actually tend to be associated with happy lives, people who can write a redemption story. But so personality, it's a complicated thing. It begins with the traits, but then you have to look at motivation. You also have to look at where you are in your life stage. And then there's this story that gradually evolves throughout our lives. And uh, it is connected with whether we feel our lives are meaningful or not.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I'm afraid I have to finish pretty soon. I
no
have some
worries.
people coming for dinner and I'm going to try my air fryer and
Okay.
I have to look up a couple recipes. But I can go another 5 minutes. So if there's something that you'd like to finish up with,
5 minutes. Yeah. Okay. We can finish up on this last question. Sorry, I didn't mean to incur on your time. By the way,
that's okay,
uh,
no problem.
the last question is how flexible or fluid is personality versus it being like immutable and rigid? Like how
Yeah,
much
yeah.
are we subject to
No, that's a
change?
great question. And that depends on which level we're talking about. So the personality traits like extroversion, conscientious, those seem to be the most stable. The motivations can change more and the life story can change. And that's actually one of the things we can do if we go for counseling or if we meet new people. We can think about our lives in a different way, in a way that works better for us. But even with the big five traits, like I always wanted to be an extrovert and I wanted to be less neurotic, there are times in our life where we're capable of changing. Young adulthood is one of those times. And there's evidence that even the traits are more changeable than we might have guessed. And there's now research on how some of us actually actively pursue personality change. And often we can make some progress. Like someone like me will never be the life of a party because I'm more of an introvert. But what I always think is important is you want to get to like a threshold level where you can function in most groups, in most relationships. So when I was a young adult, I wanted to get to the point where I could be outgoing and assertive enough to make friends, to meet a girl, to go on dates, to practice as a counseling psychologist, to like to act on the world a bit
Mm-hmm.
and to pursue the things I cared about. And I knew I should have mentioned with extroversion, part of it is being assertive. And I actually think it's the most assertive, most important part, to have the confidence to like tell someone, boy, we seem to get along. Let's go. Maybe we could go bowling or do
Mm-hmm.
something
Yeah.
together. Or part of being assertive too is if someone does something bad to you or hurts your feelings, to say, you probably don't realize this, but it made me feel very bad when you ghosted me, when you stopped showing up. Uh, so no, I think I highlight how there is potential to change and how it's important. If if you're one of these people like me, where you want to be more extroverted, or if you want to be more conscientious, uh, think about how you could do that. There's a lot
Awesome.
of books about being assertive and how to reach that. I could give that to you too. There's a classic book, Robert, that I just
Sure.
found last year, but
What's it called?
I forget the name. But
Okay, you'll send
yeah,
it to me
but I'll
afterwards.
get it. Yeah, yeah.